The Red Raiders had their first scrimmage of fall camp, and in today's video, we'll break down the standouts and much more according to head coach Joey McGuire, including how the defense stood out and lived up to that take three mantra, offensive standouts, as well as position battles you need to know moving forward in fall camp. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. A lot to discuss as really fall camp starts to really get going. It feels like, you hear about these early practice reports and guys are slowly getting into the swing of things. But once you actually hear and know that Texas Tech went through an actual scrimmage, it starts to feel like, okay, we're getting actually legitimately kind of close to football. We're still, about 20 days away, but still getting a lot closer, and it's really starting to pick up now. So let's go ahead and start with the standouts. Joey McGuire had a press conference after the scrimmage, and here were some of the players that he mentioned stood out in the team scrimmage today. Dante Balfour, a guy that started his career at UNC Chapel Hill with the Tar Heels, transferred to UNC Charlotte, played for the 49ers last year. He had come in, and now he started the scrimmage opposite of Mo Horn today, according to head coach Joey McGuire. He absolutely loves his physicality and really just him on the outside and how versatile he is, being able to play on either side of the field as well as inside as well. So Dante Balfour really got some kudos from Joey McGuire. He brought up all three running backs. I mean, they're all really good. They bring a different kind of skill set. We'll talk about their skill sets that stood out to him here in a little bit, but those guys really stood out. He also talked about John Curry, 806 finest right there, the hometown kid. They're going to have to figure out a way to get him on the football field, it sounds like. I like Ben Roberts. Obviously, you're going to start Jacob Rodriguez. He's the Big 12 preseason Defensive Player of the Year. But John Curry is proving to be a guy where it's like, okay, we just have to figure out how we're going to put him on the field because he's making too much noise in practice, and he made a ton of noise on the field on Saturday in the scrimmage. I mean, he's playing star a little bit. Think about that for a second. I like the idea of having Mikael Dingle at the star position, but if John Curry just absolutely goes in there and takes that job, I love that for Texas Tech. I truly do. I think that is a phenomenal scenario because I think that allows you to have Ben Roberts play a little bit more downhill. Jacob Rodriguez can be the Swiss Army knife, do it all type guy at the linebacker spot, and then you still have one of the best tacklers on your team in John Curry out there at star. I love that idea. We'll see how far it goes. Cole Wisniewski really stood out in terms of being a good tackler. He also had an INT, according to Joey McGuire. The wide receivers were physical. Reggie Virgil had a touchdown in the red zone knockout stages, and he liked the way that the guys were physical at the line of scrimmage and got open. The first team offense had 0 pre-snap penalties. Thank you. Thank you so much. If you are a Texas Tech fan like I am that has gone through the roller coaster that was the Texas Tech offensive line in years past, that is a just refreshing thing to hear. Unbelievable. Also, the first team offense looked good as well. The defense, however, did create 3 turnovers. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. One, they were kind of sprinkled around, according to Joey McGuire. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Staying on the offensive side, let's go to the offensive line. The starting offensive line with the first team in scrimmage number 1 from left to right was Howard Sampson, Will Jaddos, Sheridan Wilson, Danny Sills, and then Jacob Ponton. Now, that is a massive offensive line, first and foremost. But for those that may be wondering, why did Sills start at right guard? Well, Davon Carter actually graduated today. So Joey McGuire kind of gave him the day off. He had a ton of family coming in to Lubbock to see him walk. And people wonder why everyone loves Joey McGuire. That's it. That's a sentiment right there. Davon actually wanted to come in and potentially play a little bit early on, and Joey was like, no, your family's here, dude. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Go walk. You have earned this. So just another reason why Joey McGuire is so loved by his players right there. The other thing, you talked about Jacob Ponton starting right there. I say they talked about Jacob Ponton. It was obviously me. Hunter Zambrano missed the first week of camp with a back injury, but Joey McGuire did say he is scheduled to be back on Monday after an off day on Sunday after the scrimmage. He was asked about recruiting, was Joey McGuire, and they talked about really how there was a mental shift for the Red Raiders in the transfer portal and what they're doing right now when it comes to going after elite level talent in the high school ranks. Now, obviously, he couldn't mention the fact that Texas Tech just landed a commitment from LaDavian Guyton or even Felix Ojo. It's just not allowed. But there were some interesting nuggets that Joey McGuire talked about, including how they shifted their focus to productivity and not only talent. McGuire said when recruits step foot on campus, recruits are blown away with the facilities. He also mentioned how he believes that they have the best staff in the country at building genuine relationships. And yeah, money is part of it. Let's not act like it's not here, right? But again, when people bring up money, it's jealousy when they're not in Red Raider Nation, and Texas Tech is going out and landing these big-time recruits. And what do we call them? Well, we don't call them anything. We let Lord Farquhar on Twitter from Shrek obviously call them poor. Okay, but we move on. He talked about how communication on the offensive line is really on Sheridan Wilson, and Sheridan Wilson reaped a ton of praise, saying that, the first team offense had no pre-snap penalties. That's something that's huge, and Joey McGuire gave a ton of credit to Sheridan Wilson, making sure everybody was in the right spot and communicating that. Another aspect that I love, and it really doesn't impact the scrimmage too much, but I love the fact that Texas Tech is having officials at every practice. I know that seems like, something that happens, but you would be surprised that there are some schools out there that do not have officials at every practice. That being said, they are not Big 12 officials, but they are football officials letting you know, hey, coach, that would have been called this way in a game if it was a false start or whatever it may be, like clean it up. And then they have Big 12 officials at the scrimmage today. So you have that. When it comes to the offensive line, here were some things in terms of the injury updates. I mentioned it from a Hunter Zambrano perspective. He had a back injury. He will be back on Monday. Danny Sills has stood out. Davon Carter obviously was not injured, but it was in this portion of the presser that he mentioned Danny Sills in the sense of that's a big boy, and he is a guy that is uber athletic and versatile. They really like his long-term potential, and he's a guy that's really making some headwind in terms of fall camp. Another guy that stood out was Connor Carty. He played with the twos as a true freshman. He was a guy that came in the fall, or didn't play in the fall, but really has held up really, really well and has good jobs in terms of strength with his hands and hand usage on the offensive line. Joey McGuire gave him a ton of credit as well. When it came to the running back conversation, versatility is going to be the key with how dynamic these guys are, according to Joey McGuire. Jacoby, he moves out, and he was playing in the slot a couple times. He mentioned Adam Hill in this as well, saying all four can catch the ball well. All four are improving at pass blocking, and that's something that really I was worried about the most in terms of this RB room for Texas Tech going into 2025, because we know how great Taj Brooks was at running the football. Taj Brooks did not get enough credit for how great he was at pass pro as a running back. He is the best that I have seen in the Texas Tech running back, room in my time covering Texas Tech or talking about Texas Tech. And we're going on damn near a decade now. So Taj Brooks was phenomenal there. When he came to discussing each running back individually in terms of the top three, these were kind of some of the verbiage that Joey McGuire describes each of them as. Jacoby Williams, home run hitter, joiner, great vision, and just smooth in everything he does. Cam Dickey, angry runner. He was also comparing Cam Dickey in terms of some of the guys on the team do, Joey McGuire said, to a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle because he's just built like a muscle hamster. Remember Doug Martin? Cam Dickey does kind of give me those vibes. All ran with either the first or second team, so they got a lot of run, did the running backs. When it came to position battles, there were three that Joey McGuire discussed the most. We'll start with right tackle. That is between Jacob Ponton and Hunter Zambrano. This was something that we knew coming into fall camp. So far, Jacob Ponton has been getting a majority of the first team reps due to the back injury for Hunter Zambrano, but Joey McGuire did say that Hunter Zambrano and Jacob Ponton will be fighting for that right tackle spot throughout camp. Another one is, again, you got to figure out a way to get John Curry on the field. It sounds like he is in the conversation now to be the starting star. At least it is a battle, according to Joey McGuire, alongside Malik Dingle and A.J. McCarty. It sounds like it's going to be between Curry and Dingle, but we'll see how that works out. I would not put it past the Lubbock native if he is the starting star for the Red Raiders in the secondary when it comes to playing Arkansas Pine Bluff on August 31st. The other one was the tight end spot, and that's a 1A, 1B type situation. I mean, both of those guys could start. You feel good about it. Although John Carlos Miller, the second, did have a fumble where J-Rod came in and peanut Tillman him, where you go in there and punch the ball. And Joey McGuire did say that ball security was a point of emphasis for the Red Raiders after the scrimmage. In terms of special teams, Stone Carrington had a good day as the primary kicker for the Red Raiders. And then Jack Burgess, according to Joey McGuire, said he had added 5+ yards on punts this offseason, which is pretty remarkable. When it comes to offensive worries due to turnovers, I mentioned the defense did have 3 takeaways throughout the whole scrimmage. It came in various parts, whether that was with the 3s, the 2s, the 1s, wherever it was, right? But the turnovers were a mix, and ball security has to be better, according to Joey McGuire. I mentioned that J-Rod Peanut Tillman punch out on John Carlos Miller. You also had John Curry with an INT. It sounds like Will Hammond had a pretty lazy interception. We obviously don't have the film of that yet. Maybe they put that out, but those are Joey McGuire's words, not mine, that Will Hammond did have a lazy INT. There were 2 big runs called back due to penalty. One was an 80-yarder for Jacoby Williams, and it was called back due to lazy footwork, quote unquote, from the tight end position, according to Joey McGuire. Now, Tyron Grant, Cole Wisniewski, and J-Rod all created and had turnovers. So there you go right there. When asked about the more vertical passing aspect of Mac Leftwich's offense, there was a couple of big plays in this one. Tristan Gentry, the 4-star wide receiver from this past year's class, had a big play on a deep ball. A few big plays in the screen game as well. I know that might upset some people because a lot of people were upset about the screen games last year. It's going to be different a little bit in Mac Leftwich's offense. It sounds like it's going to be a little bit more spaced out. There's going to be a lot more movement, so you may like that. But Virgil and Caleb Payday Douglas, again, we cannot forget that Payday on this here channel, you know the rules, are the 2 that Joey McGuire is most excited about in terms of pushing or extending the defense downfield. When it comes to the starting DBs, Joey McGuire didn't say this, but the way that I interpreted it was this: like, they feel really good about 3 corners right now in terms of they would feel absolutely phenomenal if they were starters. And it's Mo Horn, Bryce Pollock, and then Dante Balfour. I mentioned him a little bit earlier, but all of them do different things really well, according to Joey McGuire. And Mo Horn reached 22 miles per hour, according to their tracking info this past week in practice. And he's doing so on a bruised heel. Has not missed a practice. Joey McGuire said he'll be fine, but that's something that stands out. And Mo Horn actually started in this game with the bruised heel, not opposite of Bryce Pollock. No, it was Dante Balfour who got the start on the outside. I don't think that is a bad thing whatsoever. I'm more encouraged by that in the sense of I know what Bryce Pollock can do at the P4 level. I know what Mo Horn can do at the P4 level. I want to see what Dante Balfour can do now that he has gone down to the G5 ranks and is going back up. I kind of want to see what happens for him. And I think he's going to be a vet, long, lengthy, physical corner for Texas Tech. And he's going to create some turnovers for the Red Raiders in 2025. Now, I mentioned there was some touchdowns scored. There were some turnovers had. Here were the touchdowns scored and who they were scored by. So we'll start with Reggie Virgil. By the way, all 3 wide receivers that scored a touchdown in scrimmage number 1, it was in red zone work, according to Joey McGuire. So Reggie Virgil scored 1. You may have seen that on Texas Tech Twitter. I know that they posted it. Then you've got the hometown kid and the son of Texas Tech soccer coach Tom Stone. Leighton Stone had a red zone touchdown. Micah Hudson, yes, that Micah Hudson also had a touchdown in scrimmage number 1 in the red zone. You had Will Hammond, who had a rushing touchdown within 10 yards. And then Jacoby Williams had a 20-plus yard rush for ATD in the scrimmage. All right, a lot to unpack there. But I think, again, the big thing for me in this, there were some standouts on both the offensive side and the defensive side. And maybe the biggest thing overall was it sounds like you came out of this pretty healthy if you were Texas Tech. And that's something that's pivotal for the Red Raiders going into a, pivotal season, if we're being honest. But that's going to do it for scrimmage number 1 recap. Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video and hit that subscribe button, as I'm RC Maxfield, reminding you, as always, to stay safe and Recom Tech.